Rockingham. You join us for round 5 today, which promises to be an absolute corker. For a start, there's a guy called Mark Willis who's never driven in this series before, and he's put his car on pole position. But there are also some afters from that incident in round 4 between Ben Collins and Colin White, and they both start right at the back of the grid, but for very different reasons. Welcome to Days of Thunder. Come on then, what's your secret?
A fabulous bunch of guys on the team. They just work real hard and just dedicated.
Okay, so you had first, second and 4 last time with your 3 cars. What about this time?
I was looking good. We got Michael off the front row again. We were second and third quickest in the warm-up. Haven't quite got Chris's car to his liking at the moment, but we're working on that.
Well, also working on things, Ben Collins and Team Turn 4 after the big crash.
Ben, how are you feeling?
Yeah, good. The car's been a bit difficult this weekend. It's a bit slidey, but we're working on that with the setup and looking forward to a good weekend.
Okay, obviously you're avoiding all of the subject of your start at the back of the grid.
Yeah. So got a lot of work to do, but we were third quickest yesterday. Well, without really doing a qualifying session, but so we lost our qualifying position, obviously, and should be able to cut through them.
Now, obviously, that's going to be upsetting, because especially as you think it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, it's not your fault, but Colin wasn't penalised.
I'm not really interested in all that, all the politics behind it all, and just get on with my race. Here to race, here to win, and just the rest of it doesn't matter.
I've got to ask you, obviously you're going to be starting at the back of the grid alongside Ben Collins.
Yeah, unfortunately we had to inspect the engine because we thought it was mechanical, and we had to strip the engine down, and we got it back together and went out on pit road 20 seconds to go. And you can't get round in one lap in 20 seconds, and they put the checkered out, which then puts me to the back of the grid along with Ben. So we'll have some exciting races back there, I suppose, really.
Obviously the pair of you are going to be working your way up through the front. Are you going to be thinking about it at all because of what happened last time?
Obviously, for what happened last time, there's been a lot of driver training gone on since then, and you know, people can see what went wrong in that race, and hopefully it'll be a lot better racing. You should see some really good overtaking around the outside.
Absolutely right, so hang with us. Here's the points with 4 of the 12 rounds completed, and it's Stevie Hodgson who has a 20-point advantage over Colin White. John Stewart is third with Mark Proctor in 4th spot.
Stevie, you're leading the championship. Is it too early to get excited about it though?
Yeah, pretty much. We just want to, this weekend's going to be a pivotal point, I think, with middle of the season. If we get a good point scoring round this weekend, then it sets us good for the last 2 rounds.
Well, Stevie Hodgson's also got a new teammate this weekend. Mark Willis, here in the pickup truck number 65, winning a race, takes over in the Talkspeed number 25 car, and boy is he happy.
This is Ian McKellar's car, isn't it? Because he's got a broken hand. He's not here this weekend.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen him, but I think he's done a bit of damage to his hand, so he hasn't been able to pedal it this weekend. So I'm just in a lucky position that I'm here, the seat's available, and the Talkspeed have been able to give me the drive for the weekend.
But obviously the difference between a pickup truck and this is quite a lot. What makes you think you can do it?
I was very lucky. We got a good 4 hours practice yesterday between 10 and 2, and the weather was with us. The team's done a fantastic job. I mean, it's not like I'm getting in a car that I don't know. I mean, obviously I haven't driven it before, but the car's on the pace. The car is 100% on the pace. I'm just getting in it and driving it. I'm doing the best I can, and lucky enough yesterday everything went right for us.
So are you looking to win the race?
There's 60 laps down the line. I'd like to think that maybe we could be up the front somewhere.
All right.
I'll just settle into my own pace, don't mess anybody up. These guys are in a championship. I'm here for a one-off, so
I think whatever happens, you're going to enjoy it.
I am going to enjoy it. I've enjoyed everything. It's great to have the opportunity to do it. They're a great bunch of guys, and they've been a fantastic help.
Everything's going well. Obviously, Mark did a very good job on his first time in Days of Thunder, but hopefully we can make a break. And with Ben and Colin White starting right at the back, that gives me a little bit less pressure. But yeah, hopefully we'll be on form.
See, you've got to be thinking, I can take this guy. He's just a pickup truck driver.
Well, I mean, if people have watched the pickups, half an hour ago, they're pretty competitive.
Yeah, come on, no, really, you've got to be thinking, come on, I can have this guy. I know what I'm doing.
He doesn't know what's going to happen around turn 1 yet. I want to go around the outside of him.
You're going for it from the start.
Oh yeah, pedal to the metal.
The Vergers, he has a plan, you know, and so too does Helen. She's in pit lane with Phil Hope.
Phil, you've got the grand honour of Gentlemen Start Your Engines.
I'm really looking forward to it. I've just been round the track in the pace car. It is unbelievable, and what a fantastic venue.
Well, what's going to be your style for Start Your Engines?
It's going to be with gusto.
Okay, have you been practising at home?
I have been practising at home. Corby is such a fantastic place to be, and this event and this facility is just brilliant. I want more and more people to come because it is amazing. It's an amazing day.
It is an amazing stadium, an amazing day out. But Corby, Northamptonshire, everybody can come and anybody can come, and live music, and there's tons of stuff to do as well. We can't give a big enough advert for
Well, it's great for the kids and the family because we've got some fantastic bands coming on later. We've got this brilliant venue, loads of things to do, as well as all the racing. Yeah, how can you get it wrong?
Blimey, he seems well fired up for an MP, doesn't he? Good on him too. So, Phil, you've had your practice. Time to get in action.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
Hey, great job there from Phil Hope, the local MP, who gets us fired up, those mighty V8 engines. Everybody raring to go, including Mark Willis on pole. So here's the track they'll tackle this weekend. Turn 2 is the one to watch for, 7.5 degrees of banking down there.
And Mark Willis heads the field with Michael Vergers alongside on row 1.
Stevie Hodgson and John Mickle on row 2, Steve.
Ahead of Ollie Playle and John Stewart.
And behind them on row 4, Anthony Swan and Tony King.
Completing the top 10, Steve Hobday and stock car champion Rob Speake back for the race.
And Team Renegade number 2, John Higgins with Mark Proctor.
Ahead of Chris Cook and Chris Robinson.
And Sean Richards and Skid Carrera on row 8.
Peter Faulding and Malcolm Klein, row 9.
And on row 10, Mike Luck and Phil Weaver and Steve.
There they are, Colin White and Ben Collins down at the tail of the field. Awesome.
Brilliant stuff. This is the view that we'll have from Ben Collins' car on board the number 42 Haviland car. Toshiba are here with Mark Proctor in the 12 car.
And Rob Speake returns to the series in the famous number 5.
And it is the battle of the brands here this weekend. They're all here in force. And there is the green flag as we get racing, and Stevie Hodgson drops to the low side.
But going high, just like he said he would, it's Michael Vergers takes the NEC car into the lead. John Mickle and, whoa, Steve... Well, what a fantastic bit of driving there by Stevie Hodgson through into that second place. And just look who is hanging in there in third. Super rookie Willis.
Absolutely. A reminder that this is the 5th round of the 12-round championship. All sorts of squabbling going on further back. We'll have a pit stop at lap 29 and 30. And in the wall already, the Coca-Cola 20 car. Steve Hobday has spun it round.
Well, the yellow flag comes out for poor old Steve Hobday. That car... Oh, and a huge accident further behind. One of those is the Australian driver Chris Robinson. Worried looks there on the pit crew of Malcolm Klein, the 85 car there with heavy frontal damage. And maybe that was the car that started it all, the number 20 Coca-Cola car of Steve Hobday.
Well, we'll get a look at that again in a minute, but Steve Hobday looks like he's all okay to rejoin. Here's what happened. Steve just gets a little bit loose, the back end starts to go away, tries to steer into it, but what a great job of keeping it off the wall.
We had a bit of a miscommunication between the spotter and Steve. He was told that there was a car on either side of him, and as Steve tried to avoid it, the tyre's still being cold, it just got loose and just clipped the wall.
Well, sadly, Malcolm Klein and the Australian Chris Robinson tied up in that as well. Let's hear from pit lane.
Do we know is Malcolm all right?
Yeah, Malcolm is okay. He's got back onto radio to us. He said he's fine, okay out there. He apologised for getting in the way of everybody else. But it was just a big coming together from an incident further up in the grid.
Well, the car's coming up to the end of the yellow flag period now. We get the green flags and we go racing again. It's Michael Vergers at the head of the order from Stevie Hodgson. John Mickle goes around the outside there of Mark Willis. But don't forget, this is Mark Willis' first ever Days of Thunder race. What a great position to be, 4th place.
Yeah, done an awesome job, hasn't he, Steve? But what about Vergers? Said he would go around the outside, made that stick. And meanwhile, Mark Proctor further back gets Colin White come around the outside of him. It's been fascinating to watch Colin White come right from the way at the back. He's been great on restarts, but what an awesome drive by him.
Well, the 78 car of Colin White, but meanwhile we go to the battle for the race lead as Colin White makes us through the order. This is side by side for the lead. On the left of our screens, Michael Burgess. On the right of our screens, Stevie Hodgson. 15,000th of a second across the line between them. There is now just a couple of inches, and what great wheel-to-wheel racing. High line and low line. Only do that on an oval.
This is about respect, isn't it, Steve? These guys have a huge amount of respect for each other. Stevie Hodgson, a past master of getting down on the low line and being able to keep it there. Michael Burgess giving him the room to make sure that they can do what Days of Thunder delivers best, and that is side-by-side racing.
Eat your heart out, Formula One. Just look at this. Still side by side after a whole lap, 1.5 miles of racing, and that is at an average speed of over 150 miles an hour. Neither driver is giving any quarter. This is brilliant.
And who will come out on top here? And Burgess tries to go around the outside and make it stick. Will Stevie Hodgson tuck in behind him? Yes, he does. And meanwhile, back there in third place, what a great run too from John Mickle in the 66 car.
Okay, we're going to take a short break now. Before we go, here's a trivia question for you. As we know, Mark Willis put his car on pole position on his debut here today. Can you name the only other driver to have done that in Days of Thunder? We'll see you after the break. Welcome back to part 2 of Days of Thunder from Rockingham. So the answer to the trivia question I set before the break, who is the only other driver to set pole position on his debut here? The answer, Darren Manning. Hope you got the answer right. Let's get back to the racing.
Oh, Helen, Steve Slater got it right, but then you'd expect that of him. He knows everything. So here we are back for round 5, Days of Thunder Racing. It's action throughout the track. I'm not sure we can keep up with this. Look at Colin White on a charge.
Colin White on the charge at the order, deposes the man in the super rookie, as I call him, Mark Willis, in the 25 car, goes down the inside of him now, followed through by Rob Speake, former world stock car champion, goes down the inside as well, but no, this is real wheel-to-wheel racing in the back. Mark Willis, it may be his first race, but he's learning that racecraft pretty quick. Meanwhile, John Stewart having a fantastic battle with the number 23 car there of Anthony Swan.
Yeah, Anthony Swan. In the middle there is John Stewart, the elder statesman, and behind him the youngest driver in the field, who is Ollie Plale, who's here this weekend after an industrial accident. But this is the scrap for the lead, and this might produce an opportunity for Stevie Hodgson in that red and white car.
Well, Stevie Hodgson's driven a great lap, just carried the speed through, and that has just worked in his favour on the run into turn 4. And just look at this, Ollie Plale going wheel to wheel with John Stewart. And I tell you what, the two young guns here, Anthony Swan, Ollie Plale, driving fantastic races. If you add their two ages together, they don't add up to the 75 car, John Stewart's age.
Well, he's going to love you for saying that, isn't he? But I'll tell you what, John Stewart's been a revelation this season, been in Days of Thunder since the start of the Days of Thunder created series, but he's got to have a mirror full now of Colin White because the Powerade man is inching up towards him, and so too Anthony Swan getting onto the back end of John Mickle.
Well, just remember a few moments ago, Anthony Swan was battling with John Stewart and Ollie Plale. He's come up like a rocket onto the tail end of these two, and he, I reckon, has the fastest car of the three. The thing is, the other two are in front. They're doing battle. Can Anthony Swan take advantage? Tries to do a follow-through there on John Mickle, and it's Michael Burgess looking as if he's being pushed high and wide. Has to get off the gas. Has to lose 2 places.
3 wide for second place. Anthony Swan down the inside. He'll snatch that position away then from, rather third place I should say. He'll snatch that position away. Burgess though looks to me, Steve, as though he might have some sort of problem. He's dropping away and back into the clutches of a hard charging Ollie Plale.
Well, yes, it's Burgess starting to go backwards now after a great start to this race. And don't forget, we're still coming up to half distance, and of course the pit stops and tyre changes. The guy running away at the moment as Ollie Plale makes his move on Michael Burgess with the Liberty X car. The guy running away from this pack at the moment, though, is Anthony Swan. He, I reckon, is going to start closing in on the 2 race leaders.
Well, he's fastest on the track at the moment, so that would be borne out, wouldn't it, Steve? And he has been able to make the passes, and also having made the passes, Colin White, who's now trying to snatch 6th place away from John Stewart. Ben Collins, by contrast, as the pit lane opens, and that means they can make their pit stops. Ben Collins just can't get through the traffic, Steve.
No, Collins seems to be struggling with his car. Don't forget, his and the 78 car of Colin White were both in the wall in that race. There is Ben Collins at the tail end of that group. Just doesn't seem at the moment to have a car that has enough bite and enough grip to really progress rapidly around the track.
Well, into the pit stop window we come, and Stevie Hodgson is the first in as the race leader. The boys go to work. Remember, it's the same as it ever was. 3 men over the wall, 2 to change the tyres, 1 to operate the jack. And you can see the times on the screen. We'll play them off against each other. That's the top 4 in this race.
Watch out, my money's on John Mickle's pit crew. Has been the fastest in practice on many an occasion. That is one hot pit stop by John Mickle's crew. Stevie Hodgson moving very rapidly indeed. Anthony Swan just 0.2 of a second behind. And a nice one there by Ollie Plale's team. Meanwhile, Michael Burgess is up and running safely away with the 2 fresh tyres on the outside edge of the car. The side of the car does all the work.
But John Mickle has emerged as the leader after that 4-second advantage on the pit stop, but he hasn't got out of the pit road quick enough. Stevie Hodgson made a really good, quick and nimble exit of the pit road, and he looks like he'll take the lead.
Well, that is very brave indeed on tyres that aren't up to full working temperature. And Stevie Hodgson, I don't think I've ever seen him this determined before. John Mickle, of course, the 2001 champion, sadly though out of the race. Another of the drivers in this series since the very start, the 77 car of Phil Weaver.
Absolutely. Well, disappointment for Phil, and we'll give a shout out to the catch pole girls as well. He'll be reaching for their tissues down there and sobbing their little hearts out, but Phil will be back another day, I'm absolutely sure of that. Let's join Helen in pit road.
What happened?
Well, I got a vibration, and it was getting worse and worse and worse, and then I decided to come in, we changed the tyres, and I went out another couple of, and it was dire.
Well, another driver with a few problems. Peter Folding gets a drive-through penalty because his pit crew were a bit overzealous, jumping over the wall before he got down to the pit lane.
That's a recipe for getting run over, isn't it? Well, meantime, look at Anthony Swan hunting left and right behind the Xerox 66 car of John Mickle. Swanee can't find a way through at the moment. He needs to not be impatient. Ollie Plale down the inside.
And John Higgins being lapped there in the 19 car, I think inadvertently gets mixed up in that drama that has just put Anthony Swan heavily into the wall at turn 2. Heavy damage on the number 23 car brings it to a standstill. Yellow flags are flying. He's okay, he's moving in the car, drops the debris net on the side window on the opposite side of the car to signal to the marshals he is okay.
Well, unbelievable stuff. Ollie Plale down on the inside with a slow car. Let's check this out here. There is Ollie Plale, and there's contact down there, I think, Steve. Just a minor touch between Ollie Plale and Anthony Swan sends Swanee spinning in hard hit into that wall. Let's check it out here.
Well, you know, it only takes the tiniest of touches, and I think that might have just been the touch there. Ollie Plale may be turning around Anthony Swan. The end result, though, is whatever. Anthony Swan backwards in the wall, 150 miles an hour. Heavy damage to the number 23 car.
Looks like Ollie's caught him up and tried to push past him. I think it was quicker than John. If he'd had the chance, he would have been passed. But unfortunately, Ollie's got involved again.
Oh, well, that's disappointing news. Let's just check it out again and see if we can spot the contact. Not sure why Ollie's down there behind the slow car. He then has to come up the track. Well, that angle's pretty inconclusive, but this one may just give us a bit more of an example. You can see there, I think just gets underneath that rear bumper, Steve, and turns him round.
Well, it may well be that Anthony has been ollied, but at the moment, the rest of the field still on track. Get the green flag again, and it's Colin White in very determined form. Almost gives a bang on the back of Ollie Plale's car in third place. Meanwhile, though, Stevie Hodgson timed that restart to perfection. Got on the gas better than John Mickle. Everyone else has got bottled up behind. And it's going past go for the Monopoly car with a race lead.
And Colin White on the charge as well. I'll remind you, Colin White in that turquoise car on the outside of John Mickle there started at the back of the grid and has cut his way through the field like a surgeon's knife.
He really is driving absolutely at the top of his form at the moment, Colin White. And just look at the way driven around John Mickle in the 66 car. Ollie Plale, though, really piling the pressure on. And, well, sadly, the 28 car, Michael Burgess there, really is limping. That is the number 17 going by him there, Tony King. Tony having another good run as well, up into 8th place.
Yeah, but he's about to be re-challenged, I think. Meanwhile, I will document here that I'm not so sure that Ollie was intentionally getting into the back end there of the 23 Photostop car of Anthony Swan, but certainly the outcome for that car was not good.
Well, that's right. No accident at that sort of speed is ever going to be intentional. I can assure you of that. But Colin White still with John Mickle with him. And John Mickle, you know, he's been a very much more cautious driver of bringing his tyres in as they built up speed. And I just wonder whether that is going to work in the favour of John Mickle in the closing stages of this race.
quick glance of the 24 crew there, led by John Lipor, the American guy who crew chiefs this car, but there is the white flag. So Stevie Hodgson, as Sean Richardson makes a show in the darkness car there, the black and yellow B car, is under pressure from Mark Willis, but is Stevie Hodgson on his way to victory?
1.5 miles left then for Stevie Hodgson, the man from East Yorkshire, has never won a Days of Thunder race in 3 years of trying, and that is just about to change because the double checker waves. Stevie Hodgson takes victory. Colin White, a great run to second place from the back of the grid. John Mickle a fine third, Ollie Plale in fourth.
Let's get confirmation of that then. A great run for Stevie Hodgson, but what about Colin White from the back of the grid? John Mickle takes third place on the podium ahead of Ollie Plale and John Stewart.
Well, there is absolutely no doubt this is a very, very popular victory. Stevie Hodgson celebrating success at Rockingham.
It's about blooming time.
I know, we've had 3 years in this deal and we've been bitten 2-3 times while we've been racing, and what can I say, top speed monopoly backs, Chevrolet just run awesome.
How'd you feel?
Over the moon. I saw Colin coming, I thought, no, save my tyres, yada yada yada, and he weren't going to get me, and I just thought, I want the white flag, and I got it. And
when did you know that you'd won that race?
When I crossed the line, but you never know. You never know.
Everybody was polite, give me some room around the outside, and you know, the last restart a bit hairy though, wasn't it? Cool. But that's what outside race is all about, oval racing, isn't it?
We got a great pit stop, and we got out in front, and we knew the car was going to get better as the race went on, but we needed another 20 laps. But you know, it's just nice to be back on the podium. The Xerox 4 deserved to be there.
And Stevie Hodgson, as a result of that race victory, extends his lead at the head of the championship. 35 points now ahead of Colin White, John Stewart and Mark Proctor.
Well, you'll know by now that Days of Thunder is all about music and the racing, of course, and Big Brothers are going to be here at Rockingham on August the 1st. And for your chance to win VIP tickets to see them and Javine here on the 1st of August, answer this question. All you need to do is phone us on 090 11 313 345 and you can be joining us here at Rockingham on that Sunday.
But meanwhile, we salute the winner. Stevie Hodgson, a very popular and very hard-earned victory. Takes the top step of the podium for the very first time. And that too will mean he has pole position for the next race. You can catch all that action tomorrow on Days of Thunder. But meanwhile, the race fans also could enjoy some great entertainment on the Smash Hits stage. We'll play out and say goodbye with Jamelia.